And after the Q&A, we would take announcements and then we'll wrap up for the day. And so that is a rundown of the activities for tonight. So I'm going to be inviting very shortly an avid promoter of technology in Africa. She's the CEO of Agritex and a board member of African Business Angel Network. Make welcome Rebecca Enonchong to take her opening the welcome remarks. Rebecca, the floor is yours.
Hi, thank you. I don't know if you can, I hope you can see me or hear me. I don't know. Okay, great. Okay, so sorry.
Some traction, then you can sell that traction. So that's better for that.
Oh my goodness, I'm hearing lots of voices. Can you?
Yeah, the next,
everybody.
Thank you. I'm not muted though, right?
Rebecca, now you're muted. You're on mute.
Good evening.
Okay, hi everybody. I just wanted to welcome everybody to our very first edition of the pre-summit webinar series. If you're familiar at all with AEDIBNET, so the African Business Angels Network, it's an organization that I'm sure Fadila will speak a little bit more about, but AEDIBNET and VC for Africa put on every year an event called the ACES, in short, which is the Africa Early Stage Investor Summit. And it really is an event for investors, by investors, to really delve into early stage investment across the continent, give investors the tools that they might need to do more investment, better investments, and also to interact with each other. And so this is the very first time we've done these types of pre-event webinars, and it's the first of a series of them. I think we have 3 of them coming up on different topics. So today we're talking about smart agriculture, and so yeah, the panel will address smart agriculture. But yeah, the idea is to really, from an investor standpoint, look at the ecosystem. What is happening in smart agriculture? What are investors doing? Who is investing in this sector? How is the sector doing? Again, all from an investor to investor perspective. And so thank you so much to all of you for joining us. And yeah, so I think that Fadila will introduce you a little bit more to AEDIBNET if you're not familiar with AEDIBNET, but just very quickly, organization founded in 2015 by some of us, including myself, to promote early stage investment in African startups by local investors, and by really trying to create more angel groups, making sure that create master classes and boot camps for angel investors so that they have more capacity to invest and create more angel networks, which is something that our president Tomi Davies has been very, very active on. So AEDIBNET today is about 1,300. I wish we're trying to get to 13,000, but 1,300, over 1,300 investors in 60 networks across over 30 different African countries. And so $400 million invested by these angel investors just last year alone. And so angel investment is a significant sector of investment and critical for the growth of our ecosystem. So thank you so much, all of you, for participating in this webinar, and look forward to the panels and to listen to Fadila. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you very much, Rebecca, for that. Welcome. So Fadila, are you ready? You're up next to take the overview of the smart agriculture ecosystem in Africa. So Fadila is the general leader. The floor is yours.
Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to please remind everyone connected for this series to mute the microphone. Hi. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome to this event that we are organizing today. And thank you very much, Rebecca, for the wonderful welcoming to all our participants today. I'm talking about the panelists, the audience, as well as anyone currently listening to us, whatever they are. I know it's quite a late session, but we hope that we will get out of here with a little bit of knowledge and understanding of what is happening on the continent in terms of as far as agriculture is concerned. I would like to start by giving a little brief about what is happening and setting the context for this event today. So when we talk about agriculture, I would like to remind everyone that agriculture remains the dominant sector in Africa. You know, this is a sector that supports the livelihood of 80% of African population and provide employment for about 60% of economically active people and about 70% of the poorest on the continent. There has been an increasing world population, which will lead to create a bigger demand in terms of food production. And you know very well that the size of food and agriculture in Africa would rise to $1 trillion by 2030, and the population of Africa now at 1.2 billion will double to 2.5 billion by 2050. And as the African Development Bank president usually says, we must feed these people. And the only way to which we can achieve that is to secure food through agriculture, agribusinesses. I would also like to mention a little bit about when we talk about smart climate agriculture, what it is precisely. What are we talking about when we talk about smart climate agriculture? It's important that we note that smart climate agriculture is an integrated approach to managing landscape, cropland, livestock, forest, and fishery to address the interlinked challenge of food security and accelerating climate change. This integrated approach aims to achieve 3 goals at the same time. Number 1, increase agricultural productivity and incomes, adapting and building resilience to climate change, and reducing greenhouse gas emission in order to meet national food security and developmental goals. It is important to feature, someone has the microphone on. An important feature of climate smart agriculture is the use of technology to improve practices to increase productivity, transformation, and transportation. And you can see very much that it touches the whole value chain of this sector. Can you please mute your microphone?
Please mute your microphones, please, because we're hearing all your private conversation. Please mute your mic. Can Phil mute?
Thank you.
Can you mute?
Thank you very much. As I was saying, an important feature of climate smart agriculture is the use of technology and improved practices to increase productivity, transformation, and transportation. While climate smart agriculture goes beyond agricultural practices and technology to include enabling policies, institutions, and financing mechanisms to facilitate the emergence and the growth of innovative ventures in this sector. So you'll see that when we're talking about the ecosystem, as far as agriculture is concerned, we're talking about the founders, those that are creating new ventures to solve most of the challenges that the sector is actually facing. And you see that on the continent, there's a range of digital agricultural solutions that have emerged to improve the farmers' access to market, access to asset, and access to services. These are solutions that are innovative to provide support to all the ventures or all the actors that are involved in the system. And as I was saying, just to create a little bit more link, when we talk about the value chain, we're really talking about the production side. We're talking about the procurement. We're talking about trade. We're talking about farming. We're talking about the informations that are available. We're talking about managing the climate, the weather, and all solutions that provide those services. And of course, without forgetting financing, which is very much important. And I would like to, leading from the ventures that have emerged on the continent, it's also important to pretty much highlight the role of investment opportunities. And there has been a growing number of innovative companies in the climate smart agriculture across the continent that has led to an increase in investment. In 2019, around $63 million was invested in Agritex alone in Africa. This number increased by 10% in 2020 and 50% in 2021. An early stage investment from this year, from January all the way to April, we were able to record 18 million that was raised by companies that are currently operating in this sector. And of course, without mentioning, it's important to mention actually that Apollo Agriculture, which is a venture that helps small-scale farmers maximize their profit, was able to raise 40 million in a Series B funding round to scale the operation across the continent. And today we're starting to see more and more companies across the continent raising significant amount of money to expand the services and products from Egypt to South Africa, from South Africa to Kenya, from Kenya to Nigeria and other countries on the continent. And it's very important also to mention that when we talk about investment, there's been a role that has been played by other actors such as early stage investors that are usually those individuals who are taking the first risk in the sector. Of course, we have heard about impact funds and VCs that are keen or who have developed keen interest in sectors that are emerging, in companies that are emerging in that sector. And of course, the DFIs, development financial agencies, institutions that are constantly supporting the ecosystem by providing grants and making sure that there's a knowledge gap close among each stakeholders, or also transfer of knowledge from a much more mature market to a less mature market. And of course, to end, in terms of stakeholders, we also are seeing an increased interest of the policymakers and policy drivers. The policymakers are usually the governments, local government, regional government, as well as continental government that are working together to pretty much set the tone and create policies that will allow those stakeholders to strive. And of course, you do have the policy drivers. These are the institutions that are working hand in hand with all the stakeholders in the sector to make sure that the ventures that are emerging do have an enabling environment that will allow them to actually strive as they start the venture into climate smart agriculture. Thank you very much, everyone. And this session was essentially focused on making sure that we hear from those stakeholders that are actively involved. And the next session will start with the founders. These are a set of companies that have taken the risk to invest their resources, their knowledge, and build a team around creating products that are required or necessary for the continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fadila. I'll take a round of applause for a very well delivered overview. Okay, so we can see that the Agritex sector is a really very important one. And so I say kudos to all the investors and founders that are working very hard to service this all important sector by solving the problems in food security and for the good of all of Africa. So well done, guys. We're shifting gears now, going straight to have a conversation with the founders in the house today. So we have Ahmed Ben Aksala of Moumi from Tunisia. We have Femi Aiki of Food Locker. We have Adamu, help me here, Kwesu of Agritex. Pardon me if I didn't get that name right. When you come up, please mention your name the proper way so I can get it right. Then we also have Okpeoluwa Fayomi of Plethora Agro. Are we all in the house and are we all ready? All right, so we have 25 minutes for this panel, and we're going to go straight into the business of the day. And the first round, I'll be asking everybody the same question. And the question is this: I'd like everyone to talk a bit about what you do, the solutions you provide, the opportunities that you're taking advantage of in the smart agri ecosystem. So I'm going to be starting with the ladies first. So Okpe, Alua, you have a minute and a half to talk to us about what you do at Plethora Agro. The floor is yours, Okpe.
Thank you very much, Phil. Good evening, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. It's nice to be in this forum. Plethora Agro is an agribusiness company in Nigeria, Kaduna precisely. And what we're doing is to create smart ways for poultry farmers and farmers in greenhouse farming, doing vegetables, to be able to produce their vegetables, and poultry farmers to also be able to produce both broiler birds and layer birds in smart ways. And for us, it's born out of about 8-9 years of being in the industry, being able to see the problems, the gaps that that is there between the farmers, producers, agribusiness firm, processors, and even the retailers. And I think in the past 4 years, we've been able to focus and leverage on these opportunities that we've seen to provide solutions to fill this gap. And we're still doing that anyway. So in a nutshell, that's about Plethora. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Claire. So I'm going to ask the same question to Ahmed Ben Aksala of Moumi. Tell us, what does Moumi do? What are the solutions you're providing, and how are you taking advantage of opportunities in the sector?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Phil. I hope you're listening me quite well.
Yes,
thank you for inviting me. So yeah, Moumi is an agri-tech startup based in Tunisia. What we do is that we provide solutions, software at the same time, and hardware for the stakeholders of the dairy value chain, starting from the small and medium scale dairy farmers up to the dairy industry. And of course, it's tailored for African dairy value chain. It's tailored for our small and medium scale dairy farmers. So basically, this is what we are doing. We have been in the market. We founded the company since 2018, but we did our go-to-market in September 2021. So we spent a lot of time gathering, knowing the market, developing our solution. So yeah. So basically, this is what we are doing at Moumi.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. Adamu, tell us about what Agritex is doing.
Hi, can you hear me?
How you're influencing the sector.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. My name is Adamu. I'm the founder of Agritex, a Cameroonian agri-tech company. We are based in Yaoundé, in Cameroon. So what we do is that we provide professional agricultural advisory service to farmers, to small-scale farmers, to help them improve their performances. I mean by performances, their yield, and also the quality of their products. So beside of that, our work help them to de-risk their business, and we facilitate access to agricultural loan for these farmers, which help them to further develop their activities. So we launched, the company exists since 2018, and we launched our commercial solution only last year in September 2021. And currently we have about hundreds of users, of farmers working with us.
Adamu, are you still there?
Yes, Phil, we were able to follow what Adamu say. Phil, are you connected?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, we can move to the next founder.
All right, so same question goes to Femi IT of Food Locker. Femi, you have a minute and a half to tell us what Food Locker does and the intervention you're providing in the sector.
All right, thank you very much. I hope you can hear me.
Louder.
So, yeah, great. So basically, Food Locker is a farming as a service platform that uses market access and farm management software, precision agriculture essentially, to meet the farm produce needs of large buyers by supporting African smallholder farmers with access to input, credit, expertise, but also markets. The kind of services we provide to the ecosystem include access to capital for farmers. We've deployed tens of thousands of dollars of capital to smallholder farmers. We also provide expertise in terms of climate-aware production methods, which we call production protocols. And we provide access to demand awareness for the smallholder farmers in Africa. The opportunity we see is that in Africa, there's more than 250 million smallholder farmers. But unfortunately, these farmers cannot meet the needs of a $350 billion market. So there's a huge supply-demand gap, and these gaps reflect in the food inflation that we see in Africa. It also reflects in the non-availability, non-affordability, and pricing irregularities that you see across every single season within the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Femi. So maybe I'll take you up on the next question. So what has been your biggest challenge so far?
Oh, great. For us, there are so many challenges, right? I think for Food Locker as a company, one of the challenges is that agriculture is not properly understood. A lot of people still feel agriculture is your hoes and your cutlasses, or maybe some random tractors here and there. Agriculture has gone super high tech. If we, for example, show you the platform we use, it's as high tech as what you'd see in any kind of fintech platform, where we basically convert operational level data to financial information for smallholders. It means we can optimize yields and do a lot of things. I think that the lack of understanding actually traverses the entire sector. So you'd see that with investors who sometimes would say data does not add any value to agriculture. You'd see that also in terms of buyers as well, who are essentially looking at markets with fluctuating prices. Agriculture, especially within Africa, is not well understood, and the impact of technology within that space is not well understood. And all of that translates into regulatory challenges or gaps, translates into the difficulty of monetizing technology for the space and things like that. However, a few companies are actually solving that problem, including Food Locker. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much, Femi. So I'm gonna ask same question. I'm gonna go back to Ahmed. Ahmed, so what are the challenges that you've encountered so far?
Yeah, thank you, Phil. Actually, our journey is all about challenges, you know, since we started. I guess this is the case for the other entrepreneurs. So yeah, basically our challenges, we have like 2 early stage challenges, and now new challenges rise. So I'm gonna start by the early stage challenges. Actually, the first one is, and I don't know if you took notes, guys, but we talked about gaps, data gaps, technology gaps all over the market. And yes, our first challenge was how to bring a technology to our small and medium scale farmers. And we actually elevated that challenge by being very, very close to them, by iterating our solution, by simplifying the best we could our solution. And this is how we got so far in 6 months, plus 1,500 users. The second one is, as our solution is a comprehensive solution, because we put all the stakeholders of the dairy value chain within the same platform. And the purpose for that is to gather the same data layer, so everybody can communicate using the same data layer, starting from cows up to the dairy industry. And at first, this was challenging to gather all these stakeholders, you know, from farmers to corporate, I mean, dairy industry at the same platform. But quickly, they have seen the value that we bring to them, the data that was previously not visible for them. Now it's quite visible in terms of milk quality, in terms of milk traceability. So those were basically our first main challenges. Now the challenges we have are actually twofold. I mean, for our customers and for us. For our customers, how to help them get access to finance, actually, to be able to purchase our solution. And for us also is access to finance. Maybe this is, let's say, a little bit specific to Tunisia, because the investment market is not quite active like in Egypt, for instance, or Nigeria or Kenya. So these are our challenges, since let's say we put Mumi on the move.
Thank you very much, Ahmed, for sharing your experience and challenges. I'm coming back to you now, lady, the young lady in the panel. Is it the same thing that you're experiencing with Accelerator Agro, or do you have a different kind of experience?
Yeah, well, there are a lot of similarities between what Ahmed and Femi mentioned. For us, you know, if I would speak to both sides, as a company, we have our challenges peculiar to the fact of available information, available data. Nigeria is one country that is very, very poor in data. You know, you want to dig out record of certain things in the poultry industry, and you're just looking for it everywhere you can find. And, you know, for where we have pivoted to, or where we are pivoting to now, these are things that are very, very important for us to be able to create solutions that are specific, you know, and tailor fit for these gaps that we've identified. So I would say for us, of course, I think finance is a general problem for everybody. We always want to mention finance. But when it comes to access to data, I mean, quality data that is important to make good decisions is almost not available. Another thing I would say is information, quality information amongst certain people in the industry, like even farmers. When it comes to farmers, you would be very shocked if I begin to tell you about some of the things that the regular poultry farmer that will tell you he or she has been in poultry industry for 20, 30 years, would say. And for us, I think these challenges and these problems that we were able to identify created the opportunity for us to feel, because with the way the world is going, a lot of people are beginning to be sensitive about the quality of food that they eat. Traceability is becoming something that everyone is talking about. And we are currently leveraging on, that awareness amongst users, consumers, to create a solution that would, lump all of this together, from access to input, quality input, traceability of produce that is being, and every other thing along the value chain, from logistics to last mile delivery. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ose Oluwa. So I'm coming back now to Adamu. Adamu, what are the challenges that you've encountered with Agritex?
Yes, I would say that the main challenge is financing and is related to access to data. So when we start our business, our value proposition was very well accepted by our customers, but the thing is that for them to implement our expert advice in order to increase their yield, they need more funding, more finance in order to develop their farm. And they were lacking of finance. So our idea was to link them with financial institutions in order to provide that finance to those small-scale farmers. And it comes down that the lack of data was a big challenge for these farmers in order to have access to that finance. So I think financial institution, microfinance institution in Cameroon, which are key for development of such activities, think that the industry is the area is very risky, and we have to change their mind about it. So this is what we are trying to do, and it's still challenging because we are trying to change the mind of those microfinance institutions, saying them that those farmers believe their trust, and for that we have to build those data that are lacking step by steps. So as also we are a early stage company, it's difficult to for many of them to trust us. We have to build that trust step by step. So this is a challenge that we have, making making finance available for our small scale farmers so that they can put in place the recommendation that we provide to them in order to increase their yields. So I think with time, we are trying to develop, to collect all those data step by step in order to make your business less risky and involve those financial institutions that will make the dream happen.
Thank you very much, Adamu. It generally seems like finance and access to data is a very big challenge facing the sector. But I'm also sure that you've had some very, some wins, some success stories perhaps you want to share with us. Adamu, what would you say is your biggest success story so far?
So I will say that our biggest success story is our POC with one of our partners, a microfinance institution. So as I told you, in September last year, we launched a commercial version of our product, and to first quarter this year, we were able to make that 300 of our farmers succeed to get finance and funding.
Okay, it's silent now. Please go ahead.
Yes, up to 300 of our farmers succeed to get funding from a microfinance institution. And among those 300 farmers, I will say that 80% of them, for 80% of them, it was the first time that they get financed by such institution. So for me, is a very great achievement, as we believe that the work that we are doing is starting to pay, as microfinance institutions are starting to rely, to trust those small-scale farmers and provide them resources in order for them to grow their business. So I think this is one of our big achievement. Without us providing them our expert advice on how to plan and run their business, they will never succeed to get that finance, to be financed by that financial institution. And
well done.
We have some promise for more for later. Thank you.
Well done and congratulations on that success. So I'm going to come over to Femi IT. So share with us your biggest success story with Food Locker.
All right, thank you very much. I think on a more granular level, so last year we did certain projects in maize, soybeans, and sorghum value chains. We're able to record about 35% higher yields versus what you typically obtain on average within the industry. And some of these results basically are replicable. From a financial point of view, we've served more than 4,500 farmers. We have projects that have run across northern Nigeria, southwest Nigeria, and other states, as well as other communities. In addition, our platform has been used across multiple value chains. So from cattle to goats to pullets, to broilers, tomatoes, peppers, maize, soybeans, sorghum. So it's a farming as a service platform which allows us to operate across multiple value chains. And we've gotten very good results in that. For example, now we believe we're the subject matter expert for broiler production across Africa. So most people who are familiar with the broiler production value chain would know that within 35 days, most farmers would hit 2 kilograms by feeding their birds about 3.5 kilograms of feed. But at Food Locker, we've been able to beat that. We achieved about 31 days, 2 kilograms, 35 kilograms of 3.5 kilograms of feed. In addition, we've done millions of dollars in revenue since we started. We have a pipeline for this year that is above $10 million already. We serve some of the biggest buyers of commodities in Nigeria already, and we're planning to scale that. In addition, we've already opened also our headquarters in Delaware, United States, and we're also expanding. We've won certain funding. For example, Food Locker is the first AgTech company to have been financed by Thrive Agri-Food, based in Silicon Valley in San Francisco. We're the first African company to receive funding from them and to have received also introductions to investors. We're super excited for what we've done historically, and we have this platform now that allows us to be able to hyperscale productivity of smallholder farmers. So for example, we have a project in Nasarawa for soybeans production, which is in partnership with the bank in Nigeria. And that project is worth more than $2 million. I've personally not been there because the infrastructure we have allows us to be able to leverage agents as well as subject matter experts for them to get results. So basically, these are some of the success stories we've recorded.
Well done, kudos for the great job, Femi. So I'm going to go right now to the lady, okay? So tell us your success story, your biggest success story.
Well, that's a bit tricky to answer because we've got so many of them. First of all, I would say looking at the past 12 months, it's more of access to a great network, support network that has really helped us to achieve a lot, meet a lot of players that really matter to our growth and our roadmap in the industry. And apart from this, another thing is we've been able to duplicate a model. So for us, things that we've experimented with on our farm, and it's proved great success. You know, being able to now implement this among smallholder farmers is a different thing. So having achieved this in the past 12 months for us is really a great success, because it's a different thing to do something on your farm, you know, where you have a closed system, you can monitor everything. And it's a different thing where you are where you're trying to implement it amongst farmers, you know, who are coming from different backgrounds and experience. This again is another success story. So, and last of all, another thing that I would say is, you know, potential access to the solution that we're building to be able to address some of these gaps. So we've been able to integrate IoT to provide solutions from production, efficient production, reduction of smallholder greenhouse gases by secondary production and processing of manure from poultry farmers and exporting it to crop farmers. So this is something that we're going to be devoting, you know, the next 2 years diligently to, so that we'll be able to craft a solution that reduce that first challenge I mentioned, which is data. Here, we're going to be able to see who is buying what they're buying, what quantity are they buying, who's producing what, who are they selling to. And we believe that in 2-3 years, Plethora will be a big giant when it comes to data and information about what is happening in the poultry sector in Nigeria and Sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great job. Well done. Well done. Okay. So bringing up the way is Ahmed of Mumi. Share with us your biggest success story.
Yes, thank you, Phil. Actually, two stories. The first one is when we put our product into market in last September. For the free version of our app, we got like users from 10 countries from Africa. And that was very, very amazing for the team, countries like Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Kenya, Rwanda, Tunisia, Algeria. So that was amazing for us to be able to attract users from those countries and dairy farmers, and also people related to dairy farming like vets or inseminators. The second, maybe we wanted to share that we didn't already talked about, but we just got the dairy processor leader here in Tunisia signed with us for a long-term contract to empower his field advisors and his visibility throughout the dairy value chain. So yeah, this so far the two exciting, let's say, success stories we do have here in Mumi.
Well done, well done, Ahmed. Well done, Adamu. Well done, okay. We've come to the end of this part of the conversation. We just take question and answers now. So are there any questions? Anybody wants to ask a question? We've got 5 more minutes to deal with a question. Fadila, are there any questions? Thomas, in the chat room? Anybody wants to ask a question? You want to put your hand up? Okay, if you do not have any questions for the panelists, I'm going to just have in one sentence. Oh, okay, yes. Temi Oyeshola, go ahead with your question.
I'd like to ask
your name.
Thank you. My name is Femi Oyeshola. I reside in Nigeria. I'd like to ask a question about what's the best advice you would give to someone who wants to get into smart agri?
best advice for anyone who wants to come into Smart Agri? Do you have any particular person you're directing your question to? Okay, so
maybe for anybody can answer really.
All right. So what is your best advice for anyone who wants to go into smart agriculture? I'll take the first person out.
Yeah, well, I would say pick a sector you know very much well about. I mean, smart agriculture, it could be any sector of agriculture. So the best advice I would give to you is to pick a sector that you know very much about. That's number one, and that's the basic thing. Because you have to be able to identify a problem before you can provide the solution. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Akweolua. So you identify a problem and then you offer a solution. So pick your sector. All right. Any other questions? So in the absence of any other questions, I'm going to just ask Fumi. I'm going to ask Ahmed. Ahmed, tell me, in 2 sentences, what future you see for Mumi? 2 sentences. We're wrapping up this session.
Yeah, to be the dairy data provider for the continent. I don't know, Phil, did you hear me?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I'm gonna say it again. Yeah, and in 1 sentence, to be the dairy data provider for the continent.
Fantastic. To be the dairy data provider for the, okay. Well done. Femi, okay, I'm seeing some hands up. Zigwe, please unmute yourself and ask your question. And then after that, we take George Makunga.
Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes. I'm actually a founder at Lima Chain Solutions, which is developing blockchain solutions for African farmers, especially smallholder farmers. The greatest challenge that you're facing is convincing investors to get us pre-seed funding to be able to get because you're focusing on hardware first, we are doing IoT and blockchain. So our biggest challenge is convincing the market that this solution is sustainable and is of value addition, and getting investors to also fund us because we are early stage, and I believe nothing in that purview has been done yet in Kenya in regards to serving the smallholders. So I think they see us as a risk. So what will be your advice for us to chart our path in Agritex?
Okay, thank you, Judge Makunda, for that question. Did we get it? Ahmed, did you hear his question?
Sorry, Phil. I hear the question of Makunga. Do you want me to answer that?
So, would you want to answer the question?
Yeah, for sure. Actually, my advice for Makunga is depending on the investor in question, but we are here at early stage at risk. That's normal. However, maybe you have to develop a proof of concept, get the first customer paying, whether they are from the farmers or other stakeholders. So if you get your problem well studied, the right solution, you might have first paying customers. And if you get that, I think you already elevate some investors' risks. You would be investable, let's say.
Thank you very much, Ahmed. We have Sofene Kamal's hands up. Please unmute yourself and ask your question very quickly.
Yes, hi team. This is Sofen from Mercy Corp Ventures.
I'm basically joining this a little bit late, but I just wanted to know if you founders have been able to get into the carbon credit market. Is this something that is readily available to you or to the farmers that you are working with? And I'd be happy to help on that side, because we kind of work with some companies which are providing access to carbon credits, depending on obviously certain criteria and conditions. So I just wanted to know if you've been able to leverage that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So, Femi, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, thank you very much. So we have not accessed the carbon credit market. We monetize in 3 different ways, which seem to be a bit quicker for us. But I'll be I can drop my email in the chat space, and then we'll be super glad to follow up with our man from Mercy Corp.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, please drop me. Well, put your email, and we'll just connect later after the event. Excellent.
Okay. So I'm going to go now to Femi. Femi, you also want to tell us, we're wrapping up right now because we already overshot our time by 5 minutes. But just 2 sentences. What future do you see for Food Locker? And please, same question to you as well as Adamu. 2 sentences, please.
Yeah, so Food Locker would become the go-to operating system for climate smart, intelligent, top quality agriculture across Africa. We would ensure that a smallholder farmer in Africa is as productive and as prosperous as a tech-enabled farmer in the United States.
Well done. Good luck to you. Good luck to Femi and the team at Food Locker. All right, okay.
Our goal in Plitora is to become the Uber for poultry for the sub-Saharan African markets, and as well as the African markets. That's all.
Good luck to you too. So, Adamu.
Thank you.
What future do you see for Agritex?
Yes, our vision for Agritex is that Agritex become the best partner of small-scale farmers in order to grow their business. And this will be done by helping them to access expert advice in agriculture and access to finance.
Oh, great. So good luck to you too, Adamu. And on this note, I want to say thank you very much to you all for making it such a great conversation. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. Thank you very much, Femi and Adamu. You guys are doing great stuff. I wish you all the best going forward. And on that note, we draw the curtains on this session and invite Fadila to take up with the session with the investors and supporting institutions. Fadila, over to you.
Thank you very much, Phil, and thank you to the previous panelists for the great knowledge sharing. We really appreciate it. Can we please all mute our microphones so that we can hear each other? Once again, I would like to remind you that this event is brought to you by AEDIBNET and VC4A in collaboration with AEDIBNET. Thank you very much for attending. Hi, I just want to make sure that all our panelists are present. And I will ask them to on the microphone and as well as the video. Dr. Fadel, are you with us today?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Philip, what about you?
I am. Thank you very much.
David and Hannah?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
That's wonderful. Well, I would like to, first of all, introduce Hannah Subayi. And Hannah Subayi is the country officer for Propaco, which is the subsidiary of the Agence Française de Développement, private equity, focusing on private equity on the continent, and he has been doing that for the past 40 years. And she is the head based in DRC Congo. Hannah is also a board member at AEDIBNET, and of course a member and co-founding member of various angel network on the continent. Thank you very much, Anna, for joining us today. I will move forward to introduce Dr. Fadel Diame. It is a great honor to have Dr. Fadel joining us today. He's the deputy president at AGRA, which is the Alliance of Green Revolution in Africa. And I'm also pleased to have Philip Gusatura, who is the country director at Catapult Africa, project director at the Kigali Innovation City. And our last panelist is David Ashulu, and David is the investment analyst at Welcome to Africa. Welcome, everybody, and let's begin. I would like to start with Dr. Fadel. Dr. Fadel, AGRA directly supports about 11 countries on the continent. And of course, from a broader perspective, most of the countries on the continent have benefited from your program that you have implemented, and which has mainly focused on agricultural transformation. And I am aware that AGRA also helped drive systemic changes for businesses, government, and other parties that are ready to lead the improved livelihood and food security for smallholder farmer. And it has been noted that AGRA has taken a deliberate step to promote startup and growth of youth-owned agriculture SMEs. We would like to know today how you are working in AGRA to further support that the emergence of startup and SMEs in climate smart agriculture.
Thank you very much, Fadila. Great to be here. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you. Fantastic.
Great. Thank you. So firstly, I have to say that I want to thank you for inviting me, at this very, very interesting discussion. I truly enjoyed the first session. And to some point, what I'm going to say, they already provided an illustration of how the youth dividend can be the transformative force of agriculture. So at AGRA, as you mentioned, our focus is really to support agricultural transformation in a sustainable and inclusive way by focusing on really building an ecosystem. And I like the way you highlighted in your own introduction what smart agriculture is all about. It's an ecosystem of game-changing actors and initiatives that make agriculture not only lucrative, but also sustainable, and move us from a situation where agriculture is seen as an activity for people who are trying to survive to a lucrative business. Now, to get there, we need to understand what are the opportunities and the challenges. I think we all know how important agriculture is from the point of view of the natural resource base that we have on this continent, but also the significant proportion of our people employed in agriculture. But to go very quickly, unfortunately, despite all these resources, we are still a continent that is hungry, and our farmers and our producers are not rich, they are poor. And I think part of the challenge is how do we turn these gaps into opportunities? And I think the first part of your panel showed us what it entailed. And it has to start with government having a vision for agriculture and setting a strategy to transform it in order to drive the rest of the economy. Because if you have 80% or 75% of your people in a sector, even making marginal gain in that sector is more important than making huge gain in a smaller sector. So it makes a lot of sense. The second point, very quickly, is we have significant productivity gaps. If you compare African producers to their counterpart in America and Europe, they don't have 10% of what that can be done. Now we can unlock that through conducive environment and policy, technologies, and a supportive ecosystem. And this is why this discussion is very important. So at AGRA, we believe that the youth, firstly, because of their numbers, I mean, Africa is a very youthful continent, as you mentioned earlier. 75%, 72% of our, 60% of the population is less than 25 years old. Now, the challenge is the majority of them are in very precarious employment or are totally unemployed. Yet, this is the sector, the segment of the society that has the greatest potential to master technologies, acquire the skill, and start providing services, income-enhancing services to the whole value chain. And I mean, your first panel provided a very good illustration. So concretely, what we do is basically to make sure that we work with government partners and private sector to make sure that young people are provided with an attractive vision of agriculture, not that something that you do if you fail everything else. Secondly, they have to be skilled. I mean, I think if you hear your panelists, they master technology, they understand the market, they know the gaps, and they are able to provide income-enhancing service to the whole value chain, mainly building on digital technologies. And I think it has been very well illustrated. If you have a population of smallholder farming, the big challenge you have is high transaction cost, because you have small players operating in wide geography. Therefore, the cost of serving them is very high. Finding aggregation formula, digital solution, logistic solution, value addition, post-harvest management solution are key to unlocking value for the whole value chain. So part of what we do is not only to avail skill and training, to make sure that employment is available in the ICT sector that is able to support and unlock value along the full value chain, but also support government to drive what we call data-driven policy. I think some government on the continent see the potential of really investing in youth, in technologies, but also building infrastructure that enable to increase productivity, reduce post-harvest losses, and provide healthy food to a growing African population, especially in the context of urbanization and increasing middle class. So at AGRA, this is what we do. And I think what I would like to invite all of you is to check our website and look for the Generation Africa, which is a totally youth-driven platform that is enhancing in the kind of initiative that you are doing and really creating an opportunity to link you with supportive funders, but also supporting the kind of angel investment platform that you have set up, Fadila. Maybe as an introduction, this is what I want to say, and I look forward to having a more discussion on the challenges linked to climate change, because unfortunately, climate change is the perfect storm. I mean, as a continent, it's probably undoing all the gain that we have made so far, and if not tackled, I think it will put us back. We can lose up to 14% of the continent GDP because of the culmination of the different effects of climate change. But luckily, there are some solutions, and Smartness is about delivering those ecosystem solutions. Smartness vis-a-vis weather, but also vis-a-vis knowledge, water, energy, nutrient, and carbon. And I was very pleased to hear the participant who mentioned all the opportunity linked to the carbon financing, but all of this entail unlocking knowledge and availing income enhancing services to the majority of our producers and to the SMEs who are serving the sector in general.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hannah. I will go straight to Hannah. And, Hannah is a very interesting, but also quite important expert on the continent. she has the opportunity to see it all, you know, the investment journey from early stage investment, simply because she has co-founded a number of angel network, currently working with a number of angel networks, such as Desert Angel Network based in South Africa, and also has founded the DRC Impact Hub. But apart from that, she's also looking at growth stage companies. And with Proparco, of course, I'm sure they have had, she has had opportunity to support scale-up ventures emerging from the continent. I would like to hear from Hannah, and to especially focusing on what does it take for ventures to attract investment from both early stage and growth stage.
Thank you, Fadila, very much for the relevant question. And I think, good evening, everyone. I think I will take three relevant examples. When it comes to DRC Impact Angels, we are looking at Agritex, which is called Wenze Mobile. And it's a sort of pre-seed seed opportunity whereby the company is trying to aggregate a certain number of farmers to help them digitize the supply of, nutrients, of fertilizers, help them collect all their fruits, vegetables, and other agricultural products. And then the company assists them in terms of logistics and transport to the main cities where their products are being sold. So clearly at this stage, the company doesn't have the funding or doesn't generate the revenues yet to be able to transform the product. But I really feel like this is the first stage whereby Agritech companies can start, digitizing and transforming the agriculture sector using existing features of the market. So in DRC, just like in other Central African or African countries, there are always a number of farmers who are not necessarily well organized, where there are a lot of inefficiencies in terms of supply, in terms of funding for, fertilizers, equipment, machinery. So it's quite important for agri-tech businesses at the pre-seed and seed level to be able to position themselves on this segment. Then when you have been operating that segment for quite some time, we jump to a second company that I had the opportunity to meet, which is Twiga. Twiga, as you know, is a Kenyan, well, I guess they started as an agri-tech business, but since then they have expanded into becoming a sort of aggregated and integrated marketplace, not only for agricultural products, but you can now also buy electricity and a bunch of other things on their marketplace. But the point is, Twiga managed to raise institutional money when they had the right market fit, when they had sufficient track record in terms of generated turnover. And this gave them the ability to diversify the type of product that they were selling on their platform, and to expand in terms of delivering quality and transformed and processed food to the market. So now it's quite interesting because a company like Twiga is looking to expand outside Kenya, including in the DRC. So we see that it's quite the next level in terms of what you can expect from successful agribusinesses. And then the last example that I want to give as a country officer for DRC within Proparco, we are looking at the funding of a large local agribusiness that has been operating for like 20 or 30 years. So I guess, which is typically the industrial company producing, let's say, a certain type of agricultural businesses. But we can see as of today how they want to use a $15 million loan that we are trying to structure to also improve their processes using technology to digitize payments to their suppliers, the payments that they receive from their clients, and to try to become an innovative and tech-enabled businesses. So I think those three examples are summarizing quite well the different trends that we see in Africa when it comes to the agri sector. The first two examples, Wenze Mobile, pre-seed, seed, and Twiga, which is now at Series A, Series B levels, show how Agritech businesses that have been operating for a couple of years can deliver value when it comes to unlocking the agribusiness value chain. But then we should not forget about the historical large agribusinesses, which were also delivering value, but now are trying to become tech-enabled. They are now raising money to do so. So it's quite interesting to see all of that. Thanks, Fadila.
Thank you so much, Anna. You see that Anna is really touching from the whole investment journey, from the pre-seed all the way down to the seed and of course growth level. Thank you for sharing those insights with us. I would like to go straight to David. David, you work with the Welcome to Africa, which is the platform that pretty much showcases ventures in the climate smart agriculture to European investors. We want to know a little bit more kind of opportunity you have been all able to unlock for those ventures and how you collaborate with your European investor in pushing for the availability of capital on the continent.
All right, thank you very much for that question. So I'll start by introducing Welcome to Africa. Welcome to Africa is a trade and investment facilitation company with focus in Africa's agriculture and maritime sector. We are led by a board who combined have facilitated over $5 billion worth of investment into and across Africa. Through our many years of promoting trade and investment via conferences in Africa, US, and Europe, we observed one thing, that there was a lack of access to finance for SMEs, which we call the missing middle. And this set of people are the ones really trying to solve Africa's most pressing challenges. So on the demand side, we formed the Accelerator Program, which is a world-class program where entrepreneurs are groomed, invested in, and provided with support to ensure the highest probability of long-term success, as well as our Agri-Entry Program, which is a market service entry for foreign processors and manufacturers. On the supply side, we have our investment club, which is a growing global network of individual and corporate investors looking to grow their wealth by unlocking the capital for good. And we are also in the middle of closing a $100 million impact fund in collaboration with ARM investment managers. So as ecosystem enablers, the startups in our portfolio are solving challenges from smallholder farmers' income to gender equality to infrastructure and food security. So the pandemic and especially climate change has impacted negatively on the agricultural sector, and traditional models we can't really rely on that to remedy this situation. So we are at Welcome to Africa, we are implementing modern strategies so that we can build an Africa that can feed itself and others. So we currently support quite a number of startups. One of them is Plethora, which just presented in the other panel. And then we have another startup we're supporting called Supremat. So Supremat is remedying the impact of climate change and excessive use of chemicals through locally made hardware that optimize irrigation and control pests with the aim of ensuring all year-round farming. So currently they boosted farmer yield by 20% while using 2 times less water than the average irrigation system. We are also supporting another company called Every Farmer, which is a social enterprise that have built an all-in-one platform incorporating blockchain to enable smallholder farmers adopt precision farming, as well as digitize Africa's agricultural supply chain markets. So right now, Every Farmer has over 150,000 smallholder farmers on their platform. Also, through our conferences, we are able to showcase opportunities in Africa to the international investment community, and we have huge concentration in Europe. So through this, we've been able to support the raising of a $100 million food security fund by AFEX to optimize climate smart solutions. So we really hope to partner with more angels, institutions, and donors to close out our current impact fund, which will tap into the $2.3 trillion impact investment market, unleash the capital for good, strengthen our local impact activities, as well as expand our global footprint, and ultimately close the lack of access to finance gap currently in Africa.
Thank you so much, David. I think, Philip, this is the right time to bring you on board now. Understand that the Catapult is working both on building capacity, but also providing finances. And so far, you have built quite a significant portfolio. And can you please tell us a little bit about how the capacity building program that you are delivering to those ventures are leading into attracting funding and perhaps even additional funding from other investors?
Video, thank you. Allow me to say thank you for having me on this panel. Maybe an opportunity to share more about what Catapult is. We're a venture capital company and based out in Norway. We've been around for about 6 years now, and prior to this, we've been particularly focused on the ocean and climate spaces, and have built expertise in building a world-class accelerator. Today, we've got about 138 companies on our portfolio globally, 19 of which are on the continent, and about $100 million AUM. And now moving into Africa, we're looking at this as our third vertical. So typically we run a dual model where we do run an accelerator program, but also we do invest in those companies. Again, our positioning is really in the pre-seed seed level where we do invest in. And now we're moving into Africa where we've had the Mauritius program, and towards the Q3 of this year, we'll be running the Rwanda program out of Rwanda. But this does focus on startups from across Africa. We do breathe through this one is an acceleration program, is looking at how we get those companies that are looking at the scale level, looking to scale into other countries, building their networks through our network across the world, and introducing them to the corporates that are part of our network. So that's what we cover, and we've excited that one of our portfolio companies was on the last session, Ahmed, and with Mumi. And I'm pretty excited to see more exciting companies come through as we look forward to the one running in Q3 this year.
Thank you so much, Philip. Dr. Fadel, policy, I would say enabling environment is quite important for the growth of climate smart agriculture. I would like you to touch a little bit on the various policies that have pretty much improve the penetration, the growth of early stage companies in that space, and the other areas or policies that you believe that government should be looking into, or other institutions should be pushing government to consider in order to further build the sector.
Unfortunately, I think your network is not very good, but let me just speak to what I heard. I think, and I'm glad to see that there are many dedicated funds focusing on, climate smart agriculture. So I just want to speak very briefly to some of the key investments that are crucial in order really to address, this challenge. From a weather point of view, climate information is crucial. I think the starting point is understanding, given the weather pattern, what specific varieties, what market, what prices, and making sure that the value chain players understand what is at stake is crucial. A second key investment is crop insurance and weather-based crop agro-advisory services. Again, we have to really support the value chain players, and government has a big role to play in it, in being resilient and being able to anticipate and adapt given the unique circumstances, that we're talking about. A second one that is very often, overlooked is knowledge smartness. If you listen, everybody who is speaking in this panel, they know what they're talking about. They can measure the risk, they see the opportunity, they can make calculated move and generate return on investment. Now, an important element, on this continent is really contingent crop planning. I mean, we all saw it when COVID hit. We saw it now with the Russia-Ukraine crisis, where really our value chain are being broken, and really having solution that addresses, the issue of shorter value chain, efficiency in supply chain, is going to be very crucial. Again, I want to highlight the importance of learning and knowledge brokering that some of your partners are talking about. I think the water smartness is very clear. I mean, irrigation is crucial. I mean, somebody was saying the plant needs water, not rain. Unfortunately, most of our agriculture is completely reliant on rainfall. When there are solutions that are based on smart irrigation, combined with drought tolerant and resistant crop varieties, and this is a public, it's a farmer-facing investment. You need to unlock the kind of money that Philip and others are talking about. Somebody has to de-risk and make the investment in research, in infrastructure, in order to enable those private sector investment. I think I will just give two other examples. I mean, carbon smartness is an important one. There is a lot of discussion around carbon financing, etc. But some of the basic principle is really rehabilitating degraded landscape and mountains. Unfortunately, the people who do it are probably the least funded actors. These are the smallholder farmers. They are the ones who are the frontline workers. They are the ones that are very unlikely to get any direct financing. And I think those are some of the gaps that needs to be thought through, not only through venture investment and investing, but the institutional financing, grant and capacity building that we're talking about. So just to go back to the idea you mentioned earlier, this is an ecosystem play, and the whole idea is to leverage, and align incentive in such a way that risk can be managed and value can be created. And government has a significant role to play. You need technology, you need institutional innovation, but you also need policy innovation in order to enable this whole platform. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadel. I would like to go a little bit back to Hannah to pretty much understand what does it take to pretty much reassure early stage investors that climate smart agriculture is not a sector to run away from, just last year, actually this year, the first 4 months of the year 2022, we've seen that the sector has attracted about 80 million funds, 80 million investment, $80 million investment into the sector was attracted. And we need more and more individuals that are willing and able to kind of invest at a very early stage in smart climate smart agriculture sector. I would like to know from your perspective, what would you say, what would you tell an individual that is based on the continent that clearly sees that agriculture is the way to go, where to put your money, and how would you reassure that person that this is in fact a sector that should be considered, for the investor locally, but also for those coming from outside the continent? Hello, Hannah. Hannah is not with us.
Hi, hello, Fadila. Sorry, are you speaking with me? The sound is a bit bad on my side.
Yes, I was speaking to you. I asked you a question, and the question was, what would you tell an individual who is looking into investing in agriculture on the continent? How would you onboard a new, I would say individuals that will be interested in investing in that sector? Or are there any individual interested in investing in agriculture at the early stage, and what about the growth stage? I think the network is really bad. Can you all hear?
I think Agritech is one of the toughest tech sectors in which you can invest, because obviously the human component is quite high compared to, let's say, I don't know, a lot of businesses in EdTech or health tech. And what I mean by human components in Agritech, typically you will have to deal with farmers, you will have to deal with all this type of complex kind of ecosystems. So you need to be very patient. You need to be very patient. A lot of the stakeholders in the industry are not properly educated. It takes some time to make them adopt your technology. If you speak to Twiga, for instance, he explained that initially only 20% of his revenues were actually generated through the app. The rest of the revenue, so 80%, was generated through physical agents going to farmers and manually registering them and taking orders from them, right? It's only 5 years later that now I think 70 to 80% of the revenues are generating through the app. So you have to be very patient when it comes to Agritech. The second element that is not necessarily specific to Agritech, but I would say generally speaking, be very careful about valuations. I think valuations in Africa right now are quite bullish, let's say, especially given, generally speaking, the country risks that we experience, given the context in the world with the war in Russia, Ukraine. So some of the valuations that we see are very, very high. So if you invest in Agritech, you have to be probably even more conservative when it comes to the valuation that you apply to the startup. And then what else can I say? I think these are the two main advice, but I don't know if there are any other topics you would like me to explore, Fadila.
That's very, very good for now. And thank you for raising the valuation kind of topic. I will go to Philip right now. And Philip, I would like you to touch a little bit on the, of course, the impact of the Russia and Ukraine disruption on the availability of capital for companies operating in this sector. Has it had any impact so far? And do you oversee? Do you hope? Well, do you predict that it would have an impact in the near future?
Certainly, I think this has, first of all, it has shown the world that political risk is not concentrated on just Africa. It's a global thing. Political risk can come from anywhere, and so you are now finding that with regards to political risk, there's a level playing field, and so it's not necessarily that there's going to be the Terps are going to turn out just because of the political risk in Russia, Ukraine. But more so, I think the Federal Reserve in the US is starting to tighten its belt, and that's what I see is going to cause an impact. And we started to already see it in the US, where your NASDAQ, I think last week, everything went down. And so that's going to have an impact on your valuations coming into what we're seeing in Africa. But I think it's an opportunity. I like to see a silver lining in everything where fundamental businesses that are back to basics have that ability to build strong fundamentals and start to scale from there. And agriculture is certainly one of those ones. But if you allow me, I'll speak to what Dr. Fadel and Hannah spoke to in terms of infrastructure. Infrastructure, particularly in Africa, is very nascent. And unfortunately, we're competing, say, for instance, against the EU, where every year they're getting about $38 billion. You just mentioned $80 million on the continent investment-wise. This is against a giant of $38 billion. It's a huge, massive difference. But that said, infrastructure, and to the point that Hannah made, is you've got to be patient. I went to university many years ago, and back then was when there was the beginning of the revolution of the telecom industry. It's only 10, 15 years later that we first got the likes of BESA and the MTN mobile money. That infrastructure, the hard infrastructure, was what allowed these fintechs today to build. Today, DataWave and Paystack and all those are beneficiaries of what was invested many years ago. Unfortunately, today in agriculture, infrastructure is absent. There is no infrastructure with regards to irrigation, with regards to cold chain systems, all that. Everyone who's doing it is doing it on their own steam. If you have a discussion with Mumi, with Agritex, and all the panels that were there before us, they are having to build their own infrastructure individually, and it is backbreaking. And I think that, to me, is where the likes of Agra, more patient capital, more government comes in to solve that one. then you're going to get where what I think Ahmed alluded to was absence of data. That to me is where it comes from. I'll point to one last example before I hand back to you. I think in the US, there is a company called Zillow, and they do real estate valuations. And they're doing this based on sort of tens of years of data that's been built. It's records there. Today, they're able to just come and sit on a platform and use that data. Today in Africa, it's very hard to say to get that kind of data. And I think this is where the policy comes in, and the infrastructure. I think that is going to require patient capital. Unfortunately, it's very hard to see how venture capital comes into the risk that. But I think there's got to be a space there that allows that to come in, and that to me is where I see infrastructure playing a key role.
That's really good, Philip. Thank you so much for answering, for shedding light on these issues. And I would like we're really much close to finishing this session. And I would like to have Hannah come in to give her last remark on the climate smart agriculture on the continent.
Thank you very much, Fadila. First of all, I want to really congratulate all the founders that are trying to put in place new business models for the agri sector. It's really one of the most challenging sectors that we can imagine in the continent. So thank you very much for that. As the other panelists have mentioned, a lot of green lights are, lit up for you guys. The governments are really trying to focus on food security all over the continent. A lot of investors are trying to have a big impact in Africa, so focusing on food production. So you should definitely keep working on securing additional funding. And I think that, being data-driven is quite important to be able to have the right business model that will allow you to grow successfully. And it's just like in any other sectors, it's very important to keep in mind the product market fit, generate revenues, and then try to move to the next phase of growth. So well done to you guys. And I'm looking forward to continue to follow some of you, including Food Locker. And thank you very much, Fadila, for the invitation tonight.
Thank you very much, Hannah. I will move next to David. David, is there anything that you would like our founders to know in terms of the facilitation process service that you provide to the stakeholders?
Oh yes, so with regards to that, I just dropped the link on the chat box. So if you're an exceptional founder with a great team, working on a great product and servicing a very large market, we are more than open to receiving your applications, reviewing it, and welcoming you into the family.
Thank you very much, David. What about you, Philip? Please give your last remark.
Thanks. I think we live in very interesting times, and I like again to say I like to see a silver lining in all the challenges. There's a lot of opportunity. Today, Africa's GDP in the last 10 years has immensely grown, and there's more liquidity. What that means is our Africans are spending more. But what's the first thing they spend on? It's food, better quality food. And I think these consumption trends and preferences are driving what the consumers are looking for. Now, unfortunately, we do, someone once told me, is we are, how do I put it? We're still, challenges for startups is they've got to give those good quality products for an economy that pays little. So the premiums are quite low. And so that's one of the biggest challenges that we face. But I think the innovations that we go through, how do we actually get that, is where where I think the innovation should focus. And I point to one example. Today, my grandmother can send me and I can send her money, right? Without, there's not much training needed on that side. But there's a lot more to do when we are looking at bringing more quality products to solve the challenges across our value chain. And one last thing we look for when we're in the VC space is in the early stage, it's the flexibility of teams. What Paul are you saying? An understanding of the problems that you're solving and the teams. I think it is very critical about the teams. What's the team that is going to be solving this problem, understand it? Also, what's the product? I think Hannah mentioned it, the product market fit. What's some readiness? Also, the challenge is what are the alternative solutions? Being very aware of what the alternative solutions are. And one of those alternative solutions is nothing. If it's too high, not many customers are going to go with it. And so we're really solving for both the technical as well as a price point for our economies. So we're really excited to be seeing some of these companies come through, and we're looking forward to chatting with some of them. If there are any out there that would like to, I'll be happy to share some more details about our program. Thank you very much, Fadila.
Thank you very much, Philip. Glad to have you today. We're going to close with Dr. Fadel. And after Dr. Fadel, we're going to open it to the floor for all the founders on the audience that have questions related to investment and support.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Fadila. Okay. I think just to conclude, just to thank you for the invitation, I want to echo
Hello, Dr. Fadel, can you hear us?
So you can hear me. I'm sorry, my line dropped. I just wanted to thank you for the invitation and echo Philip's point around the silver lining of the crisis. I think there are huge opportunity around cooperation to deal with issue of food and food system. And where the challenge we are having now is to produce nutritious food, do it sustainably in a way that is lucrative. It's really a triple bottom line challenge. And I think the tools and the platform that we are putting together really provide an opportunity to really push the envelope beyond what we can imagine now. It requires a lot of cooperation, a lot of patient investment, a lot of de-risking.
Hello, Dr. Fadel.
Over to you, Fadila. Thank you.
We have lost you. The last word we heard was de-risking. A lot of de-risking, and we didn't hear the rest. Could you please?
So basically what I'm saying is I believe in the silver lining that Philip mentioned. Yeah. I think we have the vision, the skill, and the ecosystem really to provide solution to these climate change challenges by providing cooperation platform, funding modalities, and conducive policy environment that enable us to succeed and deliver impact at scale. So I want to end with a note of hope and optimism and look forward to greater engagement with you all. Thank you very much. I hope you heard that, partner.
Thank you very much, Dr. Fadel. Back to the floor now. Anyone has a question? Any question? Okay, no questions. Thank you very much, Dr. Fadel, Philip, David, and Hannah for joining this panel discussion. And I would like to remind everyone that these experts are contributing to the strengthening of the climate smart agriculture ecosystem throughout the continent. So we had Dr. Fadel joining from Agra, Philip joining from Takapul, which is a VC firm also providing Accelerator Program, David joining from Welcome to Africa International, providing facilitation services between the investors, local investors, international investors, and ventures emerging from the continent. And finally, we had Hannah Subai, Proparco head at the head of Proparco at DRC, also a AEDIBNET board member and a member to multiple early stage network across the continent. I would like to remind you that this series was brought to you by AEDIBNET and VC4A in collaboration with AEDIBNET. And it's important that to note that AEDIBNET is making a commitment to build an angel network that will deliberately invest in climate smart agriculture. If you're an investor listening to us today, and you're interested in investing in climate smart agriculture, I would like to invite you to connect with AEDIBNET via Twitter or email at secretary@aebdnangel.org. Thank you very much for following us today and for attending this session. I would like to now move on to a set of announcements that we have for you today. And I would like to call on Thomas from VC4A. Thomas?
Oh, thank you, Fadila, and all the outstanding speakers we had today. It really feels we can talk the rest of the day actually about the exciting opportunities in the world of climate smart agriculture. And again, it really is an honor to me and the entire team of organizers to have had such an outstanding group of individuals representing a very diverse set of players in the ecosystem that were together with us tonight. But the good news, we have more for you in store. And so again, on behalf of the Africa Early Stage Investor Summit team, I'm eager to invite you all to for the two remaining pre-summit webinars scheduled for June 6th and July 4th. Topics will be clean tech for June 6th and smart cities for July 4th. After today's webinar, we will of course also share with you some additional information and even more important, the links for the registrations. As also mentioned by my great colleague Fadila, these events are again hosted by the Africa Early Stage Investor Summit organizers AEDIBNET and VC4A in very close partnership with the AEDIBNET initiative. So yeah, like I just said, please make sure to register on time. Also, in case you want to be involved as a partner or a speaker to any of these two remaining webinars, please reach out to the team, and we are happy to see if there's any exciting opportunities that we can work together on. But of course, this is not all. Because currently the team is super busy preparing for already the 9th edition of our annual Africa Early Stage Investor Summit, scheduled for November 2, 3, and 4, 2022. Like last year, we will be hosting a series of investor meetups throughout the continent and the world at large. All happening on November 2nd, and then November 3rd and 4th, there will be a full schedule ahead with everyone who is anyone in the Africa Early Stage Investor scene. Registrations are not yet live, but we will definitely keep you posted. And this is also again a request to all of you to reach out to us if you see any potential ways of partnerships, and or if you want to be involved as a speaker. If you want so, then please reach out to Natalie at africainvestorsummit.com, and we are looking forward to discuss further. I hope my youngborn or newborn didn't catch too much of your attention. So if you don't mind, I'm gonna take care of him. But not before again thanking all of you for joining us tonight, and I really can't wait to make sure that we keep the conversation going with all of you, and building the future of early stage investing on the African continent together with you. Fadila, over to you, and wishing you all a great evening, morning, or afternoon, wherever you are calling in from.
Thank you very much, Thomas, for this announcement. And once again, thank you everyone for joining us. And if you need any information, if you would like to take part in the building of this ecosystem, please do not hesitate to contact us. And I would like to reiterate our commitment towards building early stage investing on the continent. And this time around, we want to focus on climate smart agriculture, and we hope that you will be part of this journey. And we would like to invite the ventures, the beautiful ventures that have presented us the services and product today, the policymakers and policy drivers, the VCs, as well as the early stage investors. Good night, everyone, and have a beautiful rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Bye-bye.
Dankeschön.
Thank you. Have a
Asante
great night.
sana.